because it takes a long time. In this case, a rook lift takes 3 moves. Rook f to e1 to e3 and then to g3 or to h3, depending on where where the best place to put it would be. But I figured I had the time. And as a matter of fact, I did have the time because then he went pawn grabbing. Rather than taking the d pawn, he took the b pawn. Now, the b pawn has the advantage that it is threatening the knight, and as a matter of fact, if the queen and rook ever leave this diagonal, obviously this rook is going to hang. So it does throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into it. It makes me be a little more careful. That's for sure. But it has the disadvantage, as I've been discussing the whole time, is that it really takes the queen off the takes the queen off of any possibility of defending. So I played rook to e3. Now, I'm perfectly happy to let the knight hang. Obviously, the thing that I saw right away is that if he takes the knight, then I have a discovered check. I can take bishop takes h7, and then I have the queen trapped. Now, one interesting move for him would be perhaps let's say he would have played knight g4. Obviously, I couldn't take it with the queen because then he plays rook take a1. If I take it with the knight, then this bishop hangs and this rook is in trouble. So maybe that would have been although I could have moved the rook. I don't this move would have been interesting because it would have uncovered a threat on the bishop. Maybe I would have taken the bishop, and then if he takes the knight, then I take the pawn, and then I've won 2 minor pieces for a rook. So I think I still probably would have been in good shape if he did that. But what he did, he made another mistake. He played the queen takes e3, and the queen takes the knight. Now, my first inclination, my first reaction, okay, great, now it's time to play the discovered check. Bishop takes h7, check. King takes h7, rook takes, then rook takes c3, and I've won a queen. But that doesn't really work, because if you think about it, he's just taken a knight. If I take on h7, he takes back with the knight. Now I take the queen, and then he takes this bishop, either with this bishop or this knight, which was sitting here on h7. Now he's gotten 3 minor pieces for a queen. He'd lost his queen, but he's gotten this knight, which was sitting here on c3. He's gotten this bishop, and he's gotten this bishop. He's gotten all 3 minor pieces of mine for a queen, which in material is about even. The pawns then would be, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd actually be down a point. I'd have an extra queen, but he'd have all 4 minor pieces on the board. I think at best this would be even for me. So I can't do that. So I have to play an in-between move. I can't play it right away. So I played bishop takes f6. Now, bishop takes f6 obviously takes away his possibility of doing that. The whole thing of him getting 3 minor pieces for the queen depended on him being able to take the h7 bishop with the knight, and then and then it'd be able to threaten. If he has to take it with the king, then I could always come up here with check, and then I can take the queen, which is actually what happened. Now, at this point, it's even. It's even in material. He could still save the queen by coming back. He can come back to c7. Now, if he comes back to c7, though, let's say to defend the bishop, obviously he doesn't want to move the queen to a spot that doesn't defend the bishop, because if he moves the queen to, let's say, I don't know, let's say here, or not really too many other places he can move it to. He can move it to here. He can move it to b2. He can move it to a5. Then I just take the bishop, and I've won a minor piece. I've won 2 minor pieces in exchange for his 1 minor piece, and I'm winning material. Plus, I still have this attack going over here. If he plays it back to c7, then I can play the sacrifice. I can take bishop takes h7, which I could do anyway, no matter where he moves the queen. Then he takes, and then I put the queen out here. The king has to move back to g7, and then I swing the rook over, which, as you'll see later on, well, so really the truth is I can do it regardless of where he moves his queen. So he doesn't really have a lot to do in terms of saving his queen. If he moves his queen back, then I'm going to have a brutal attack on h7. So he takes the bishop. So then I do what I wanted to do anyway. Bishop takes h7 check. He has 2 moves. He can take the bishop or move to h8. Not taking the bishop, moving to h8. Of course, I would just play Well, first I'd have to take the queen. Well, okay. First I take the queen. Obviously, I can't move to queen h5 right away because then he takes the a1 rook and it's checkmate. That wouldn't be a good outcome. Then there's nothing I could do to stop it on the back rank. So then I could take it. And then if he takes the bishop, we're back to where we started. And if he doesn't, then after I take the queen, then I can move the queen to h8. So he plays king takes h7. I played queen to h5 check. He has only one move. King back to g8. Now it's time to take the queen, and that's rook takes c3. Now he is going to be checkmated very quickly unless he does something. Really, he doesn't have any time to get the rook out of the way. If you think about it, obviously my next two moves are rook to h1, rook to h3, and queen to either h7 or h8 checkmate. He doesn't have time to move the rook away to give the king an escape square. If he moves the rook away, for example, this move, let's say he moves the rook here, move here, whatever it is. So I just play queen takes. I think I can remember what. Okay, so if he plays the rook over here, I just play queen takes f7 check. He has only one move. He has to go to the corner or here. He can go to h7 or h8. Then I play the c rook all the way over here to the h file, and it's basically checkmate. If the rook king's over here or the king's over here, the queen is guarding the escape squares. It's check over here. He has to put the bishop in front, and then I just take rook take h4 checkmate. So the only way he really could have saved himself at this point that I can see is to play bishop takes e5 to take the knight. Then I could take it either with the pawn or the queen. I still can swing my rook over. I still have a big attack going. I'm probably not going to checkmate him, but I'm up big. If he, for example, trades this off, then I have a queen, two rooks. He has two rooks and two minor pieces. So I'm up by a full minor piece. The pawns are even, and I still have two rooks which are going to come bearing down on this king sooner or later anyway. I can take it with the pawn. Then this pawn would be in a very strong position on e5. I could swing this rook over. He wouldn't be able to, to defend with the pawns too easily. This pawn would hem in. I've calculated out the variations. There was, eventually he was going to be checkmated or lose big material. So as a matter of fact, what he played was knight c6, threatening this knight. Again, trying to be a little materialistic. So then I simply played rook h3, and now it's checkmate no matter what he does. If he doesn't do anything on the king side, then I either play queen h7 or queen h8 checkmate. If he moves the rook, I play queen h8 checkmate. If he moves the pawn up, whether one or two spaces, I just play queen h7 checkmate. And he saw that, and so he resigned the game. So again, I just wanted to post this not because it was necessarily a great game. I think my opponent just didn't play very well, but it's just that I like the king side attack, and this idea of the bishop sacrificing itself on h7 is always the kind of thing you should think about when you have this kind of open position in the middle over here. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Please post any comments, and I'll see you next time.